So here's what's missing about the phrase, when you know better, you do better. So this phrase is supposed to be kind of like an encouraging thing to say, like, everyone's always doing their best. But we can use it to shame ourselves, because if we've learned some concept or behavior or something that feels important and valuable to us, and then we don't apply it in real time, we can get down on ourselves. Like, oh, I knew better, but I didn't do it better, and I'm so frustrated, right? What we are missing with this phrase, sorry, car for a minute, is that your knowledge, whatever you've learned, is not accessible to you when you're in fight, flight, or freeze. When your nervous system is dysregulated, you cannot access your knowledge. You are literally cut off physiologically from your frontal lobe in something called an amygdala hijack. And that is for good reason. It's a survival strategy. If I am faced with a tiger and I start being like, well, the tiger had a hard childhood, and I know that yelling is not the most effective thing interpersonally for my long-term relationship with the tiger, that I'm going to get eaten by the tiger. So our nervous system will take over when it senses a threat, and it will, without our conscious interaction, just do what it thinks is the most safe. It'll go straight to the motor part of our brain, and we'll just have an action. Like if you put your hand on a hot stove, you just pull your hand off without thinking about it, right? This is a good thing. But in our, reality of everything being so interpersonal, and it's not like we're like trying not to harm relationships, where we used to not try to, have a long-lasting relationship with the tigers. So in this new reality, it's tricky, because you could know better and then you get dysregulated for evolution reasons, that your body sensed a threat that may not have even been consciously something that seemed threatening. And you're going to have that amygdala hijack. You're going to avoid your knowledge. You're going to just react, and it may be harmful. And then you calm down and you'll be like, why did I do that? Right? So, oh gosh, it is so noisy today. Maybe I'm not going to be able to make this video. But anyways, so know better, do better if you're regulated is the way to actually say that phrase, right? You can do better if you're regulated, because you can access your knowledge. But if you're not regulated, you can't access your knowledge. So an example is, last night I was talking to my co-parent about a financial thing, paying for braces, and it was a stressful conversation for me for a number of reasons, and I ended up raising my voice. And my kid got stressed by that, appropriately so, and went upstairs to his room to get some space from it, which was such a wise decision on his part. But later on, I apologized. Hey, I got angry. I raised my voice. I'm sorry that I did that. I got a little, afraid about this financial decision, and I am, aware of that, and I'm sorry. And in that way, we can acknowledge, hey, I did something that doesn't line up with my knowledge because I was scared, right? And I felt threatened, and so I had a reaction, and I'm sorry for that. And we can do our best to support ourselves with those kind of things. A strategy that I use for that, and I, talked to my kid about this. I acknowledged, hey, I typically don't choose to have these conversations over the phone, because I know that if I get scared, I'm going to have a reaction, and so in order to try to take good care of myself and my co-parent, I typically choose to have these conversations by email, which gives me the time, if I am noticing that I'm dysregulated, then I can take the time to be like, oh, this is not a great time to write this email, right? And I can wait until I've supported myself enough back into a regulated state so that I can act according to my knowledge. And this was one of those situations where I had, attempted written communication, and then it was like the night before the appointment, and I needed to have the information in order to proceed. So it was a not ideal circumstance, and I knew it was not likely to go in an ideal way, because I don't, regularly expect myself to operate according to my values when I have, a dysregulated nervous system. So I kind of knew it wasn't going to go well, because I know that my capacity is lower when I'm in those real-time moments. So anyways, this is just a reminder that know better, do better is not a reason to shame yourself. It is trying to give us the awareness that everybody's doing their best. But if you're forgetting that you can't access knowledge when you're dysregulated, then you're going to have a lot of judgment for yourself and others. You're going to think they're operating according to their knowledge, but we can't when we're scared. So if somebody does something that you think they should know better about, you can remind yourself that they must have been scared. And if you do something that you think you should have known better about, you can remind yourself that you were probably scared. Okay, lots of love.